Hey everyone, today we got a great video for you. It's something that you will rarely ever see in our criminal justice system. And it happened in the Young Thug trial. Of all trials, with all the drama, all the hysteria, all the craziness that's happened in that trial, you saw the judge go toe-to-toe against the prosecutor. I mean, the judge was ferocious. And it's something that you rarely see because you rarely see judges hold prosecutors accountable for when they're being dishonest. They're being dishonest with the court, being dishonest with the defense, or when prosecutors are withholding evidence. That's a big no-no. That's something that should not happen. There's even a name for it. Like, there's a decision that was made, a landmark decision. Some of you might know about it. It's called the Brady decision, Brady violation. And anyways, the judge held the prosecutor accountable before it turned into a wrongful conviction. And I say wrongful conviction, but for just a moment, I'd like you to hold back your judgment on whether or not you think he's guilty, because I don't have a position on that. I've not been watching the trial every single day, every minute. Maybe some of you have, and you have a better idea of whether he is guilty or not, whether he's actually directly linked to some of the allegations. But that's not what this video is about. The video is that the judge is a rock star. Like, when I talk to you guys about judges that are dishonest, this is not one of them. This judge, this is what we need in our criminal justice system. This type of character is what we need in our political system. Because look, if we can be honest here, the judge probably has an opinion about whether or not Young Thug is guilty. But irrespective of what her opinion is, she's following the rules. And she's standing up to the prosecutor and going, "You're screwing up. You have been doing this for 10 years. You're an experienced prosecutor. You know exactly what you're doing. And you've not done it once, but you've been doing this repeatedly." And what gave rise to this whole thing was a misrepresentation that was made by the prosecutor about a piece of evidence that the prosecutor wanted to introduce into evidence. And the defense objected. She got a chance to be heard. Are you introducing any aspect of this evidence, right, of this piece of evidence here, for the truth of the matter asserted? Because if you are, then at this point, then it becomes hearsay. And, there's a process, right, for still getting it in, potentially. So the fact that it's hearsay doesn't mean that it never comes in. It just means you have to jump through some more hoops. And the prosecutor said no to the judge. And the judge pointed out that the judge, to some degree, relied on the integrity of the prosecutor. I was put up on a big screen, but it was very small print. So the judge relied on the prosecutor's integrity. They turned right around and tried to use some of the evidence that was in that, some of the facts that were in that piece of evidence, in that exhibit, for the truth of the matter asserted. We're not going to go into hearsay. Hearsay can get pretty complicated. It's pretty basic. The rule's pretty basic, but it can get pretty complicated, and that's for another video. What's important here is that, man, that judge, that was amazing. That took some backbone. And that's the kind of stuff that we need, not just in our criminal justice system, in politics, all aspects of government, all realms of government. People that understand the rules, respect the rules, respect the Constitution. They're saying, well, I believe he's guilty. And I've had some people make some comments about that, and he might be. I don't know. I'm not one of the jurors. I've not heard all the evidence. But the thing is, even if you think he's guilty, and some people believe, because they believe that it doesn't matter what the means is, you can violate all of his rights. You can violate, his Fifth Amendment right to remain silent, his Sixth Amendment to counsel, his 14th Amendment right to due process. And it's all good because those individuals believe that the end justifies the means. And I strongly oppose that. At one point, if you go back maybe 20 years, I would have agreed with you. I would have said, maybe that's the way it should be. But not anymore. You guys understand, we're not living in the 1960s. We have tons of technology. The government, police officers, they have so many resources available to them. They have access to all sorts of things. They track us. They track us constantly through our phones, through our watches, our Apple watches, right? Through everything that we search on the internet. But there's no need for the prosecutor to play dirty, to violate people's rights. And this is why I'm so strongly opposed to it, is because it leads to wrongful convictions. Because they might violate this person's rights, and then we can all agree, well, this person is probably guilty, so it doesn't matter if we violate their rights. But guess what? It doesn't stop there. Because then next, it's somebody else, the next person. Because you just set a precedent. You just said it's okay to do that. So then the next person's rights gets violated, and the next person, and the next person, and eventually you're going to get somebody who's innocent, somebody who should not be convicted. But it doesn't matter. They're going to get railroaded just like everybody else because we've set a precedent. Simple example. It's a tangent, but it's a simple example that I think is a relevant example in some ways. Is this? We all believe in the First Amendment right to free speech. And I say we all, most of us do. If you listen to my content, you probably do. But then the moment that we disagree with someone, right, there are a lot of people that decide that, well, the First Amendment doesn't apply anymore. We should curtail their testimony or their opinion, their voice. We should silence them because we don't agree with them, because it hurts our feelings. The problem is you start doing that, and we started doing that. This is not hypothetical. We're doing this in our society, and our government's doing this. And in some cases, what they're doing is they're collaborating with big corporations, big companies to silence people. And I think that's a major problem, and that's probably one of the most important, one of the biggest issues, one of the biggest problems that we have as a country, as a nation, because there's a lot of corrupt shit going on. And it's funny because, another tangent. I mean, if you can go back to like the 60s, and back in the days, you'd hear people talk about these theories about, like, say, UFOs or some of the corrupt shit that the government was doing. And we thought they were conspiracy theories, but these were the cuckoos. They were crazy. But it turns out, and for those of you that are older, you know exactly what I'm talking about. For those of you who are younger, all you gotta do is just do the right searches, and you'll find out what I'm talking about. You'll see what I'm talking about. It turns out that a lot of that stuff is true. The UFO stuff you don't have to search for. They came out in big hearing. We know that UFOs are real. We've actually got some of them that we've been experimenting on, and we got some of their vehicles and so on and so forth. But there's other stuff, other corruption that's been going on. In today's society, there's a lot of that going on. There's a lot of corruption going on. And I think it's important, right, that we don't silence people. And it's a fundamental thing. Otherwise, it leads to the destruction of our society. And that's just one little tangent. Getting back to your young trial, if you start violating people's rights, their Fourth Amendment right to be protected against illegal search and seizure, or their Fifth Amendment right to remain silent, or their Sixth Amendment to counsel, like, I was just saying a minute ago, little by little, you start chipping away at that, and it leads to some horrible things, some terrible things. It starts leading to more government corruption, right, within the criminal justice system. Starts leading to them having way too much power. And one of the things that I think is important is because of the direction that our entire nation is going in some ways, right, with the government becoming more and more powerful, you understand that if you allow government to get away with violating our basic constitutional rights, it's dangerous. It's scary. It could lead to how far are we from becoming, say, a police state, to the point where government can do pretty much whatever they want. And there is no accountability. There are no repercussions. So I think it's important to protect people's rights, even if you don't necessarily agree with them, or even if you believe that they're guilty. That's why we're in our society, it's innocent until proven guilty. So anyways, hope this was helpful. Thank you for your support, and I look forward to seeing you in my next video. Thank you.